Slow down, you move too fast. You got to make the morning last, just kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun and feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. Hello lamppost, what you knowin'? I come to watch your flowers growin'. Ain't you got no rhymes for me? Do 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 do, feeling groovy. Ba da 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 da, feeling groovy. I got no deeds to do, no promises to keep. I'm dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep. Let the morning time drop all its petals on me. Life, I love you, all is groovy. Da 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 da, feeling groovy. Slow down, you move too fast. You got to make the morning last, just kicking down the cobblestones. Life, I love you, all is groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How is everybody? Woo! Everybody's wearing their lovely fall finest clothing. It's beautiful. And good morning to everybody watching us online. In your programs, you will notice the announcements have a little insert there now. It's double-sided, so make sure you read both sides. I'm just going to cover one of the announcements. Our winter fundraising gala, How to Succeed at Christmas Without Really Trying. We started rehearsals this weekend. It will be great fun. May some silliness ensue. It's going to be fun. It is Thursday. I should know this by now. We're in rehearsal. It's going to be Thursday. What? It's Thursday, December 4th. It's going to be on please show up. It'll be Thursday, December 4th, and Friday, December 5th at 8 p.m. Doors are opening at 6:30. If you were with us last year, we had bar, we had chatting, we had food, we had silent auction, and then we had the show. So we're doing that 2 nights because we with the way the stage is going to be set up, we only have 60 seats available for each performance. So we're doing it over 2 nights. So make sure you get your tickets. That you can get them in the gift shop. Everything you need to know about purchasing is on here. It's a really small font. So feel free, read, but get your tickets before they sell out because we're going to have a fantastic, fun night. And on that note, I'm going to call Carol McDonald up to speak a little bit further about that. That's right.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. It's nice to see you. Thank you very much for your attendance this morning and being so gracious as to listen to me on the heels of what has just been said. So what I would like to do is just give you a little bit more detail on our gala fundraiser, which, as we have heard, is December 4th and December 5th at 6:30 p.m. It is our biggest fundraiser for the Center for Spiritual Living. And this year, our monies that are going to be raised from your generous participation are going to the continuing evolution of our space. And for those of you who are present here, you'll, of course, have noticed that we've done this amazing job of painting and rejigging the ceiling, and there's some fabulous artwork. And so we're going to continually evolve the space until we move into our new environment one day, which we know we will do, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so what we are doing is we are really, truly counting on your wonderful ongoing support for this event. And what we need are more volunteers. And I want to say a huge thank you on behalf of the Board of Directors for all of those who have stepped up so far to volunteer their services. But we do need more volunteers. And if you are interested in volunteering, please see Judy Southern, who will be more than happy to take whatever you have to offer, whatever time you can contribute to this endeavor. There is just a little bit of information here about this silent auction. We have a phenomenal silent auction. And in keeping with everything else about this wonderful event that our gala will be, we are going to be making sure that all of the silent auctions items are affordable and accessible to everyone. So we have a fun-filled time for both nights. There will be items for both nights. And everything will be just like little treats left by the elves from Christmas, okay? So just remember that, a lot of thought has been given into collecting these items for your perusal and, of course, for your purchase. And this is a wonderful, wonderful way to start the holiday season. We're not in the holiday season just yet, but I'm sure it's in the back of most people's minds as we get into the middle of November here. This is an event not to be missed. And for any of you who are watching online, certainly if you can be here physically, we would love to have your presence and have you come here and enjoy the festivities. And it absolutely will be a lot of fun. And I'm really excited about this. I'm so looking forward. And once again, tickets are $40 each, $40 per night. So both, you have to spend one night or the other night, but it's $40 per night. And of course, there'll be all those amazing silent auction items. So thank you very much for your attention. And I will pass on to Reverend Jonathan. Or is it Tanis?
Yes, your turn.
Is it your turn? Okay.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Tanis. Thank you, everyone. This night is going to be off the hook. It's going to be so much fun. We started rehearsals this week, and Tony has written a very funny script. That's all I'm going to say. It's a very funny script. It is. You will get a kick out of it. Let's just say that Tanis plays sort of my better half in this show, which is an interesting concept if you know us. The other thing I want to let you know about, and this is actually a late addition this week, which is why it's not on your announcement sheet. So many of you know that I sing with the Choir Forte, the Toronto Men's Choir here in town. We are doing our show the week after the gala. And I have made arrangements so that we have 20 tickets available in our bookstore today. And for every ticket that is sold in our bookstore here, $5 per ticket will be donated back to the center. So if you'd like to come see that show on the 13th of December, tickets are available right here in our bookstore. And those are $25 per ticket. So that's all I know. So Fran's like, but I already bought my tickets. I know, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for those of you who have already bought your tickets. I'll see if I can make an arrangement to have that money donated back to our center as well. So we welcome every single person who has graced us with their presence by coming through our doors today. I want to say hello to everyone. I want to say hello to everyone online, especially if you are here for the first time. We celebrate an idea here. We celebrate the idea that there is only one power, one presence, one infinite creative energy in the universe, and it is love. It's love. It's love. We call it love, we call it God, we call it spirit, we call it whatever we call it, but it's a creative resource, and it is here for each and every one of us to use, and we get to use it when we embody it. And so that's what I'm here to do, is to encourage the embodiment of this idea for all of us. So we're going to launch off today by singing together our very first song, We Come Together. I'm going to invite you all to stand up and dance and enjoy. Here we go, guys.
Ready? Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together.
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 We come together in the name of love.
We come together.
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 We come together
in the name of love. So take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves you and I love you too. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together.
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 We come together
in the name of love. We come together.
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 We come together
in the name of love. From every walk of life. From every creed and color. In kinship we unite. In honor of the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you. Say namaste, I bow to you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together.
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 We come together
in the name of love. We come together.
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 We come together
in the name of love. We come together.
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 We come together
In the name of love. We come together.
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 We come together
In the name of love. All right, you can be seated.
Woo. All right, so we celebrate this idea of love in everything we think, say, and do in every single moment of our day. Every single moment, we are creating something. We are creating something. This is how our lives unfold. We have some people in the center who have made it their life's purpose to embody this teaching on a much deeper level than just the average person. They've committed themselves to years of training, and I am so proud to be training a wonderful group of practitioners right now. We have 9 brilliant students who are going through the practitioner training program with me, and they are, it's quite an incredible class of brilliant minds. Here is one of those students to share with you her brand of wisdom. Please welcome to the lectern, Judy Southern.
I was quite inspired last Sunday when Margaret Ann stood up and used these lovely Science of Mind cards, because I have a favorite one when she took out hers, and mine is the one called Believe. And on the back of it, which I cannot read here in this light and in this font, unless I can.
It's a recurring theme.
This is something, the quote is from Ernest Holmes, and all these cards are from Ernest Holmes, and I love these cards. I just love them. And yes, thank you, Jonathan, for talking about practitioners, because we have been trained and we are still being trained over and over again, but we've learned a great deal, and we've learned to operate in the field of thought. It's an ongoing process. And this quote is what Ernest Holmes says: we offer spiritual mind treatment and affirmative prayer, and this is what Ernest Holmes talks about, what we do when we treat. And quote, he says, quote, "When we treat, we do not wish, we know. We do not dream, we state. We do not hope, we accept. We do not pray, we announce. We do not expect something is going to happen. We believe that it has already happened. And this is what's known as the mental equivalent. What's in our mind, it's already happened in mind. And we've all heard when we receive exactly as we believe, and when our belief is strong, and our belief is strong, and our faith is strong, it demonstrates in form. And it's all about trust. It's all about surrender. It's letting go and allowing what's already there to be. So this takes me back to an event that happened to me in 2007. We all have a story. We all have a story. And all of us practitioners have a story. We've heard each other's stories. So this is a little piece of my story that I look at differently now with a perspective. I was sitting reading my spiritual reading and meditating, or trying to meditate. It was the year that my husband, he was in the early to mid stages of dementia, and it was very traumatic at the time, and I certainly have a different perspective of all of that now. But I was sitting there in my chair, and I was just, the whole world had collapsed around me. I had no idea what was about to happen to me. I didn't know what the journey was going to be. I certainly know now, and it's been a good journey. But I was sitting there, and I just started to cry. And I just let go. I let loose. I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried, as I do a lot, actually. I'm quite an emotional person. It's a good thing I have a healthy detachment to keep me centered. And so in those days, I didn't say the word God easily. But I was so traumatized, and I just said, God, show me a sign that you love me. Show me a sign that you love me. About 5 minutes later, this man, in the early to mid stages of dementia, walked past the room where I was sitting, and he looked at me, crying, and he came in, and he got down on his knees, and he took my hands in his, and he said, Judy, I love you so much. Yeah, and I'm so worried about you. Well, I was worried about me too, quite frankly. And wow. I look at that experience now. I was still pretty traumatized. Actually, I held him close, and I stroked that beautiful, full head of silver hair. I always enjoyed that head of silver hair. I still see that in my mind's eye. But what I take from that is I made a connection with the divine, looking back. I let it go. I didn't know what to do. I just let it go. I surrendered. Let happen what's going to happen. And the divine answered me and said, I love you. Spirit spoke through Vic, my husband, and told me how much I was loved. So it's all about trust and belief and surrender. And I think the opposite, for me, the opposite of that trust and that belief and surrender is resistance. And man, have I been resistant. And sometimes I still am, but I have tools now. And I recognize resistance more easily now. So the bottom line is that when we practitioners and practitioner interns treat, we know, we state, we accept, we announce, and we believe it is already done in mind. And we step back and we get out of the way. And we trust, we let God do the work, and we allow what we have just stated to become form. So I have an affirmation for you, and I invite you to say it a couple of times with me. It's very simple, 6 words. I trust the process of life. I trust the process of life. I trust the process of life. Namaste.
I trust the process of life. I live in this right here in this moment, in a place of pure faith that is grounded in a belief that life is unfolding perfectly. That's the truth. I know this, and I surrender to this. I surrender. 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 know that as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I surrender. I trust and I know that as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love.
I trust and know and I recognize the divine presence that operates throughout the universe and throughout all of life, that permeates every cell in my body and every fiber in my body for each and every one of us here. And I call this presence, I call it intelligence, I call it spirit, I call it God. And I know that God moves through each of us, in us, as us. I know this is the truth. And in this truth, I relax and I affirm for each and every one of us a life of peace, a life of love, a life of joy. I trust that all is as it should be, and I allow life to just unfold as it should be, as it wants to. I trust that all is well, that all is perfectly unfolding, and I allow the truth to unfold perfectly. And in this allowing, in this surrender, I am grateful. I am grateful for all I am, all I have, and all that I know. And with my wide open heart, I release these words to the law of mind, the law that knows, the law that always says yes. I release, I let God be God, I receive exactly as I believe, as each and every one of us does. I let it go, I let it be so, and together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Judy. I needed a good weep. That was absolutely exquisite. Whew. I'm going to move this over here so that you can enjoy the brilliance of this band. Before we do that, though, you brought up something that is worth repeating. And I'm gonna state it in a slightly different way. We talk about spiritual mind treatment here, which is simply the words we use to describe affirmative prayer. That's all. What is so important in the way we understand and the way we teach affirmative prayer is that we do not beg, we do not supplicate ourselves to anything outside of the self. We simply announce our truth. We announce it to a principle that acts upon it and delivers it right to us in that instant. This is so important to me because this is the foundation of this entire philosophy, how we create our lives. We do this when we give. We do this when we receive. We do this when we simply step into the life of being love. And you know what I was about to say? Of being love on a stick.
Love on a stick.
I sure know how to lighten a mood, don't I?
Is that like soap on a rope?
Perhaps.
Yeah. Here all week.
Yeah.
This equivalent weekend 3 years ago, I was in my second Sunday here as a candidate to take on this ministry. I was introduced this week 3 years ago to these two beautiful people, and most of you as well, Pierre Gautreau and Tennis Burnett, who have taken on the musical direction of this band in such a brilliant way. We work so beautifully together that even today, when I walked in and I said, I know we planned a particular song for the day and I am not feeling it today, they said, okay, we'll do something else. Very lovingly and very givingly. So here, to give what he's got to give, please welcome Pierre Gautreau and the Queen Street Band.
Walking around town, have you heard the news? Apparently we all got free will, we all get to choose. Are you singing love songs or are you singing the blues? Now you've got your way and I've got mine. Central line, attracting to us what we believe all of the time. So I'll give what I got to give, I'll give what I got to give with love. I'll give what I got to give, I'll give what I got to give with love. I'll give what I got to give what I got to give with love. Oh, it always brings the sun out, which breaks the dark cloud above. Hey there in the mirror, what's it gonna be? 'Cause you know that release in the past, well, that will always set you free. There's only love that's plain to see that can take away the pain and the misery. I'll give what I got to give, I'll give what I got to give with love. I'll give what I got to give, I'll give what I got to give with love. I said I'll give what I got to give what I got to give with love. Well, it always brings the sun out, which breaks the dark cloud above. Come on. If I think of how I'm feeling and it isn't quite appealing, there are two things that I can do. I can still play the game and feel the same, or put my foot in the other shoe. Give what I got to give, or give what I got to give with love. I'll give what I got to give, or give what I got to give with love. I said I'll give what I got to give what I got to give with love. Well, it always brings the sun out, which brings the dark cloud above. Always brings the sun out, which breaks the dark cloud, which breaks the dark cloud, which breaks the dark cloud above. knows what I gotta give.
Pierre Gautreau and the Queen Street Band. Yeah. We have quite the band. That is the truth. Whoo! Ha 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 ha! Whoo! Is that about what I did? All right. If you're here for the first time, you've come on a good Sunday. It is always a good Sunday. This particular Sunday, though, however, I have decided this is the first in a 4-week series. I am covering the first 4 parts of the Science of Mind book, which is this tome that sits here. Everybody always thinks this is a Bible. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people come in here if they've not been here. They think that I have a Bible sitting here. This is actually the Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, which is the foundational text upon which we teach. All you need to know is in the first 25 pages. So in the next 4 weeks, I will be covering the first 25 pages of the Science of Mind, starting with the chapter called The Thing Itself. It's actually the introduction to the book, which is the irony. Everything you need to know is all before chapter 1. It's all in the introduction to the book. So this is the first part of the 4-part introduction is called The Thing Itself. The Thing Itself. When Ernest Holmes is talking about the thing itself, what he is talking about is God. And you know, I'm trying to be very specific every week to say, when I say God, I mean love, I mean spirit, I mean universal creative energy, I mean source, I mean, you know, whatever you call it, because a lot of people do have a hiccup or a hitch with that G word, right? Is there anyone here who does have the hiccup with the G word? You don't have to raise your hand, just check in with yourself. If that is an issue for you, that word, God, I use it a lot. And another way that I've looked at thinking about it is this: it's good, orderly direction, which is what we're always doing. We're always moving in forward momentum at all times. So let's proceed in good, orderly direction. That's God. Ernest Holmes writes this in the introduction. He writes, "The inherent nature of man is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom." The inherent nature of man is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom. I read that this morning when I woke up at 3 o'clock because my cat was scratching on my door, wanting to be let into the bedroom, and we're integrating cats right now, so one cat is not allowed into the bedroom, and so he just continued to scratch, and I finally said, okay, I'm giving in. I will sit in the living room with you and start writing this talk. So this talk is only going to be about an hour long because I had a lot of time to prepare it this morning. So I read this sentence: "The inherent nature of man is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom." And I thought to myself, how do you define freedom? I started really thinking about this concept of freedom. What is freedom? So I looked it up in the dictionary. That's a good place to start, don't you think? The dictionary says, this was the first definition in the dictionary that I was looking at. Freedom: the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. The power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. I like that. It is actually what we teach. We are teaching people to live in their inherent nature, which is the nature of freedom. The power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. Ernest Holmes then later on says this: freedom is the birthright of every living soul. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. It is who we are inherently. We are the expression and embodiment of freedom. And part of the reason that I can say this is because I am uniquely me in a way that is so different from every single person here. Now, I may have similarities to my mentor, James Mellon. We were both musical theater guys, right? But inherently, I still have my own unique nature, as do each and every one of us. We are all unique. We have the power. We are the power to act, speak, and think exactly as we choose, exactly as our lives in their unfoldment require, without hindrance or restraint. If there is hindrance or restraint, we are the ones who are taking it upon ourselves. That's the key. That's the key. Freedom is unhindered creativity. It is inherent in us. So, what stops it? What stops us from being free or even feeling like we're free? What traps us in that place of hindrance or restraint? We do. There's one answer: our belief. Belief is the thing that stops us. So, I imagine that all of us here, living in this city or maybe visiting this city from some other place that would probably be similar, whether you're in the city or country, that's the specifics of where you are not as what am I trying to say? 3 o'clock, I'm telling you, 3 a.m., the cat scratching on the door. We live in a particular cultural idea. The cultural idea within which I believe we all live is this: we live in a free society. We live in a free society. Is that true? Oh, ooh. I heard a no. There are ways in which this society is not free. I'm not going to go into the deep ones that may cause a lot of strain for us this Sunday morning, but let me ask you this. Am I not free to break the speed limit when I'm driving? Of course I am. Of course I am. However, I have to recognize that there will be consequences if I'm caught. Therefore, fundamentally, I'm actually not living in freedom, because there is something that I have decided to take upon myself in a place of belief that says, no, you cannot do that. And so this becomes my experience. Get it? We like to pretend we live in freedom, and yet I don't think any of us are as free as we could be. Now, I'm not suggesting we all go out there and start breaking the law, just to be very clear. What I'm saying is, let us remove the perception of consequence from the things in our lives that we feel we have no control over, because the truth is we do have control over them. Every single thing in our life we have control over, because we are the ones who at the fundamental level created it in the first place. Whether it was creating it knowingly or unknowingly, we have created it. Now, in the creation of it, let us not beat ourselves up for the things we have created that we don't like. Let's not step back and say, well, I couldn't possibly have created that. Just say, all right, I've created it. If I don't like it, what can I do now? That's where we have the freedom. We have the freedom to recreate the circumstances of our lives, and we do that by rethinking them. This is exactly what Judy was talking about. We are cause to every effect that shows up in our life. That's the philosophy. It's basically the first 25 pages. We are cause. We are the thing itself at the level of its expression as ourself. We are God at the level of our expression as God, creating our entire unfoldment of life. So, what have we taken on? This is a rhetorical question, because, I never ask rhetorical questions. What have we taken on as a perception of consequence in any area of life? Something to just start to check in with. This is where the work of the science of mind comes in. We talk about it being a practical philosophy. We must put this into practice. This is why we call our practitioners, because they are practicing the philosophy. In fact, each and every one of you, whether you are a licensed practitioner or not, is a practitioner if you are practicing the philosophy. So, where do we practically apply this philosophy? We do it by paying attention, by becoming aware, by being mindful. What have we taken on as a perception of consequence in our lives? In some religions, the ultimate consequence is this: eternal damnation in the fiery pits of hell. We don't believe that. We don't believe that. That doesn't work for me. Does it work for you? No. It does not work for me. I don't believe it, and I will never live that experience, ever. I will never live that experience. Isn't that good news? And none of you have to live it either. I am free of the hold of that over me. Now, there may be people who have come to this philosophy. Did you believe on some level at some point that maybe if you were a sinner that you would live in the eternal damnation in the fiery pits of hell, Judy? At one time. Just because I happen to know your background. And so you would go to confession so that you could, not have that experience in the afterlife. Well, what is the afterlife? There is actually no such thing as the afterlife because we are eternal life. We are eternal life. We are the expression of eternal life. Now, our experience here is temporary. Right here in this moment, this is a temporary experience. The form is temporary. The spiritual truth is eternal. And we are the embodiment of spiritual truth. So, there is no place we're going to. We're not going to heaven. We're not going to hell. If you choose and decide and believe, you can live the experience of heaven right here and right now, which is my choice. I choose to live heaven now. So I am free of any idea, of any place of perception of consequence, and I live in heaven now. How do we know what defines our personal bondage? How do we know what defines? I have come to a place of understanding that the way we start to address and recognize how we have bonded ourselves, how we have bound ourselves, is by listening to the inner voice. Lately, this has become very, very prevalent in my ministry. I've been very focused on the idea of the inner voice. I've been talking about it a lot in class. I've been talking about it a lot on Sundays. I've been talking about it a lot in Mental Muscle Extreme. The inner voice is the key to recognition. For when we make an announcement, what was your... the affirmation, please. I trust the process of life. Let's all say that again. I trust the process of life. Now, check in right here in the quiet of your mind. Is there any inner voice that is denying that? You don't have to raise your hand. You don't have to admit to it. To what degree do you doubt the truth of that statement? Because that is a statement of fact. I trust the process of life. If there's any part of you that is saying, no, you don't, that is how your experience shows up. Ernest Holmes writes, our inner voice tells us of a life wonderful in its scope, a love beyond our fondest dreams, of a freedom which the soul craves. So now I'm going to take it even back further. We make our pronouncement through the use of affirmation. We hear the inner voice that says, I doubt that. Now listen to the inner voice behind the inner voice. Allow yourself to become quiet in that moment and recognize that there is something even behind that voice that says, you are love. Your birthright is a life of freedom. This is who you are because you are me. We are one, and there is no separation. Allow that to become the predominant inner voice, which will drown out any sense of doubt. This is the practice. So I do teach that first inner voice is the recognition of the belief. That is the recognition of the belief. Now, where does that belief come from? Where does that inner voice come from that says, no, you don't? Now, we think sometimes that that inner voice is the voice of the greater thing within, and yet it's not. It is simply something we have taken on and said, this is so unshakable in my place of faith that I cannot be swayed from this opinion until you decide to be swayed from that opinion. The voice behind the voice and behind the voice. This is why we talk about deepening into this philosophy. Because the more you listen, the more you deepen in your listening, and the more you hear the spiritual truth. This is why, for me, meditation as a spiritual practice is so important, because it allows me that time, that structured time, to go deeper and go deeper and go deeper. I have to say, your meditation this morning was absolutely beautiful. I went so deep this morning. Margaret Ann, and I'm going to do a pitch for meditation again. We do guided meditation at 10:30 here, preceding service every Sunday. If you're not participating in that, I believe you are losing out on something. It is wonderful. So the deeper we go, the more we touch upon the thing itself which is within. Now, why do we refer to God? This is the next question I have. Why do we, in this philosophy, refer to God, love, the creative principle, whatever, spirit, source, whatever you're going to call it, why does Ernest Holmes refer to it as the thing itself? Sounds very bleh. There is a reason why we call it the thing itself, and it is this. It is to remove any sense of an individual personality. We are removing a sense of personality from God, because God is not a personality. Now, I'm going to ask Judy again a question. Judy, in the philosophy in which you were raised, was God a personality?
Absolutely.
Explain to me, if you would, very briefly, what was God's personality like?
Not always very nice.
No?
Giving of rewards and punishment.
Oh, that's not a God that I care for. I will now say I don't care for that philosophy personally. If that works for you, have at it.
It does.
Wonderful. I don't believe in a God that has judgment and is giving reward to some people and punishing other people for any purpose. I don't believe in that. There's not something out there. So the reason we call it the thing itself is to take away that sense of personality and impersonalize. By impersonalizing the thing, by impersonalizing the spirit, recognizing it only as a principle, we then actually tap into its infinite power, again, free of judgment. Now, if we feel like we are rewarded for our good thoughts and we are punished for our bad thoughts, let me rephrase that. If we are rewarded for our constructive thoughts and we are punished for our destructive thoughts, that is true. But that has nothing to do with anything outside of the self. It is simply the impersonal reaction of a principle that simply corresponds with whatever is happening in our mind. We live the experiences of the thing itself because that's who and what we are. Y'all tracking with me? All right. God is not an individual. However, God is individualized in us and as us. So, I have now spent some time talking to you about how God is impersonal. We have now taken personality away from God. I'm now about to give it back. Each and every one of us individually personalizes God. This is important because this is where the love factor comes in. In personalizing God, we are expressing and experiencing the love of that power as our own. And this is honoring the principle and using it only for constructive purposes. So that's how we personalize God. And so, in being practical, I call upon each and every one of us to personalize our sense of spirit within and understand that it is the unique inherent nature of each and every one of us. Because I get a lot of flack. I'll tell you, I get a lot of flack in classes by making God very impersonal when I'm teaching the creative process. And A equals A, always, when it's going through the creative process. Cause always equals effect, blah, blah, blah. It's very cut and dry. And Ernest Holmes is very cut and dry. But we must also understand that in personalizing the principle and using it in a way that is loving and constructive, we have honored the principle. So what we do is we take this thing, the thing itself, and we create a construct. We're creating a construct within this philosophy to understand that which is greater than the greatest thing we can comprehend. And that's not so easy. I say this in class a lot. The very act of talking about the infinite limits our comprehension of it. There's no way we can adequately discuss the infinite. So we're creating a construct for our own purposes, for our own understanding. And let us do this with ease. Let us step away from any sense of difficulty. Ernest Holmes says, let us approach the science of mind. And then he uses this interesting term. It's the only place in the entire book that I recall ever seeing this. He says, let us approach the science of mind, the science of spiritual psychology, normally, happily, willing to accept, glad to experiment. Let us approach the science of mind, the science of spiritual psychology, normally, happily, willing to accept, glad to experiment. I think it's very interesting that he uses this phrase, science of spiritual psychology, because at the fundamental level, Ernest Holmes never wanted this to be a religion. He never wanted this to be a religion. The fact that we meet here on a Sunday is actually a fluke. The fact that I'm called a minister is a fluke. This was, the way it's been described, he describes this as a philosophy of faith and a way of life. He does not say, come here on a Sunday and bow down and let's make a religious aspect out of this. Again, it is a fundamental, practical tool for living a better life. And the way we do this is to approach it normally, happily, willing to accept, glad to experiment. I love that, glad to experiment, which is where the science in the science of mind comes in. Because we claim within this that these are provable principles. They are proven through the experimentation in our own minds and living the experience of the results of those things. So, rhetorical question again, how many of you are actively stepping into the experimentation of life? I'm just letting you all think about that for a minute. For me, in the experimentation of things, is the joy of life. I have fun experimenting. I have fun stretching and seeing what more is there to know. Stepping out of that place of thinking I know it all, because I don't. I know you all like to think I do. You come to class because you think I know it all. You come to service because I have something to say. No, let's all step into that place of not knowing and being open to something deeper, something new, some other answer. Let us each commit to experimenting and finding the depths of our minds, because in the experimentation, we actually find the light. It's so funny, after service, or after the meditation, the first song that ended up being played, and it's random, the songs that get played after the meditation, was this song by my friend Amy Steinberg, brilliant song called You Are the Light. I thought, oh, how perfect. She You just keep saying, you are the light, you are the light, you are the light. In the experimentation of life, we find the light. We unfold the infinite joy and possibility of the future by experimenting, by not thinking we know it all, or being so rigidly set on a standard that we cannot break away to know something deeper. We do it right here, right now, in this moment. Right now. For this is the only moment that exists. We need no longer look forward to the day. Now, so this is actually a reference that I want to read very quickly. The very first sentence in the thing itself is this: we all look forward to the day when science and religion shall walk hand in hand through the visible to the invisible. I propose we are no longer looking forward to that day. I propose that our very experience as religious scientists, those of us who have stepped into the experimentation, are living that right here and right now. We no longer have to look forward to the day when the good of the universe is ours. It is here now. To the degree that we latch onto it, we grab it and we say, yes, it is mine to experience right here and right now, free of limitation, in a way that does not harm any other single person. It does not harm anything around me. I am free and I flow in the love of God at all times. We live forward-thinking experience now. The Word is the way. The Word is beyond the spoken word. The Word is the belief. And so as we embody new beliefs, as we embody new ideas, as we experiment and embody, we shift the entire experience of our lives. To learn how to think is to learn how to live. One of the most famous quotes of Ernest Holmes: to learn how to think is to learn how to live. I do not come here to tell you what to think. I leave that to other philosophies. I'm here to express to you that there is a fundamental scientific way of thinking that can bring more joy to your life, that can bring more happiness to your life, that can open you up to the channels of wisdom flowing through you infinitely. To learn how to think is to learn how to live. The trained mind is far more powerful than the untrained mind. So today, I invite you all to take the leap forward in training your mind to accept only the things that are constructive, releasing anything that feels or seems destructive. To learn how to think is to learn how to live. The mind we use is the mind that allows us to look forward. Look forward to a greater experience of life. Look forward to a deeper expression of love. Look forward to a boundless experience of peace and joy. That mind is the mind, the thing itself, and it is your mind. And it's for each and every one of us to use. And I'm taking this moment, as I've reached the actual end of my notes, to see, is there anything more that needs to be known in this moment? Allow yourself to go there too, right in this moment. What more is coming through you, right here and right now? And take a breath. And allow yourself to relax. And allow me to bow to you. Namaste. As you were coming in today, you were most of you were probably handed one of the many pieces of paper that you were handed this morning, is this little pamphlet that says, "Do you step up?" We are in the midst of our stewardship campaign. We do this once a year, usually in November, which is asking you to make a commitment to this center in a financial way so that you can support our success. You can become a member of our Count Me In program, which is to allow us to do pre-authorized contributions through your checking account or through a credit card. Or you can fill out this form and say, I am pledging to give X amount over the course of the year, and I will give it on Sunday when I come to the center, either via cash or via a check. However you engage in stewardship, it is important to us because this is how we make our plans for the year. We are now about ready to budget 2015, and this is how we do it, by looking at what you are offering to the center, what your planned offering is, and we make our plans according to that. If you have been a member of stewardship in the past, one of the things I am going to ask is that you take a look at what you have been giving and see if there's any way you want to change it going into 2015. Note that I did not say, please increase your giving. In some cases, you may need to reduce it, but please take a look at it so that we can plan accordingly. This is also the time in the service where we do give and the baskets go around, and I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for what it is you offer this center. Your consciousness is primary, and your finances help the consciousness and the conscious forward momentum of this center. I also want to say thank you to everybody online for your awareness. If you would like to make a contribution, you can do so by clicking on that donate button right there at the bottom of the screen. So as we pass the baskets around, we're going to sing My Good, this wonderful Karen Mitchell song. Take it away, band.
Is my God is my good. All the good there is belongs to me. My good is my God is my good. All the good I seek belongs to me. That's my truth, capital T. It's all about living free. My good is my God. My good is my joy is my good. All the good there is belongs to me. My good is my joy is my good. All the good I seek belongs to me. That's my truth with a capital T. It's all about living free. My good is my God.
I'm going to invite Judy to do a blessing over the offering.
I recognize the divine presence that permeates all of life everywhere and that flows through each of us. And in this knowledge of this oneness with all of us, I give thanks for the blessings that are in these baskets. I know that in these baskets are blessings of love and harmony and joy. And these financial offerings allow this center to bless us all. bless us all with love. I know there's light and harmony and joy in these gifts, and for these gifts I am eternally grateful. I release these words, and I let it go, and together we say, and so it is.
He's tuning. There we go. So I'm going to invite us all, first of all, in gratitude, to relax, release, and allow. Right in this moment, let go of everything we think we know and open up to that greater, infinite, intuitive wisdom to flow through us. Release, let go, allow. Allow yourself right in this moment to recognize what it is that you've heard today that resonates with you, that allows you to move forward from this place in a constructive way, in a positive way, in a way that is in harmony with all of creation. Relax, release, let go, allow. Now that I know the truth, I can't go back to what I used to do. I can't pretend or ignore or go back to what I believed before. I can't live without your love. I can't live without your light. I can't live without your message. I can't live without your warmth. I can't live without your wisdom. I can't live without your message. Right in this moment, I recognize and know that there is a power, a singular power for good, expressing constructively in all things. This one creative resource is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, and it is expressing itself right here, right now, by means of each and every one of us. Every single person who is touched by this service is this power. Every single person online, every single person in this room. And I recognize and know that every single person with whom I come into contact in every aspect of my day is this power. The power of love. This is the expression and experience that I have of God. And I trust each and every one of us recognizes this exactly as we need to for our highest benefit in every single thing we think, say, and do. And so with this understanding, I claim in this moment that we each lead lives that are extraordinary. Each and every single one of us is unfolding as this greatness in everything. And so, love is present. Health is present. Beautiful relationships. The pure, abundant expression of wealth is present for each and every one of us. Our creative expression cannot be stopped. And so I open up to it more and more and more in this moment. I am so grateful for this knowledge, and I am so grateful for every single person here. I am so grateful for everyone who helped make this service, this celebration, the experience it is. I'm grateful to Carol and Jim and Lori, Lynette, Wim, Terry, Marg, Carmen, Tony, Ram, Margaret Ann, Judy.
I am grateful for the band. I am grateful. And so in this place of fullness with gratitude, I release this word, trusting and knowing that it is complete in the very speaking of it. For this is the power of the divine flowing. It is done. It is so. And together we say, and so it is. Now that I know I'm God, I can't hide behind this old facade. I can't lie to myself or know that I'm not perfect health. I can't live without your love. I can't live without your light. I can't live without your message. I can't live without your warmth. I can't live without your wisdom. I can't live without your message. I can't live without your message. Now that I know the truth, I can't go back to what I used to do. Thank you all so much. And so we're going to kick it into high gear and take it out into the street with Don't Stop. Thank you all so much. Have a great, great, great week.
If you wake up and don't want to smile, if it takes just a little while, open your eyes and look at the day. You'll see things in a different way. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Don't stop. It'll soon be here. It'll be here better than before. Yesterday's gone. Yesterday's gone. Why not think about the times to come and not about the things that you've done? If your life was bad to you, just think what tomorrow will do. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Don't stop. It'll soon be here. It'll be here better than before. Yesterday's gone. Yesterday's gone. All I want is to see you smile. If it takes just a little while. I know you don't believe that it's true. I never meant any harm to you. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Don't stop. It'll soon be here. It'll be here better than before. Yesterday's gone. Yesterday's gone. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Don't stop. It'll soon be here. It'll be here better than before. Yesterday's gone. Yesterday's gone. Ooh, don't you look back. Ooh, don't you look back. Ooh, don't you look back. want you love.